Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is a first-timer on the show. It's the fine folks, by the way, from the Rhode Island International Film Festival, and I'm very happy to have George Marshall, the executive director, for the first part of the show. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Love having you on, and I always tell, especially guests like this, that soon people are going to learn about you, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go on the road and come up to your place and experience everything that the festival has to offer. But welcome to the show.
Thank you, and we'd love to have you. And I think the show is going to give us the proverbial Colbert bump.
Yeah, there you go. So let's talk about it. For those that may not be familiar, the Rhode Island International Film Festival, what is it? What's your mission, your mantra, all that?
Well, the festival itself is 17 years old. The organization that produces it, Flickers, is actually 32 years old. I created both of them, which means I used to be 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, and this is what's happened.
But you know what? Photoshop can do a lot for you these days.
It's amazing. Well, at any rate, the festival itself is designed to discover new films and new filmmakers. Our motto is discovering the new voice of independent film. And we've been very fortunate over the years to bring in some really exceptional talent. We actually showcase short films. Which is great for folks that have short attention span. And our opening night is unique because it is a salute to the art of the short film. What separates our festival out from other festivals, not just in the Rhode Island, but also throughout the region, is that we're affiliated with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the folks that produce the Oscars. There are 75 festivals worldwide that are affiliated with the Academy.
And that's a big deal, right?
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And there's about 7,000 festivals worldwide, so you can do the math on that. Our closest comrades in arms of doing this they're down in New York, from Tribeca down the line. But we're the only one in New England that actually is an Academy qualifier. And over the years since we've been doing this, we've had 29 films that have premiered at our festival and or were discovered at our festival and then went on for Academy nomination. Now that doesn't mean it's an automatic win, but it does mean that we've had six wins, literally, from the Academy. Now, what it means too is that if you are a festival selected by us, or you're a film that is selected by our festival, it means that you bypass all the Academy rules. You don't have to go to California, exhibit your film for a couple weeks, take out ads in all the trades. We give you a straight line to the Academy for your film to be viewed. And it's very exciting for us when the films are nominated. We had 3 nominations this past year.
Wow, congratulations on that. Define what a short film is.
Short film, according to the Academy, is anything, including the end credits, that goes up to 40 minutes. So it could be 30 seconds all the way up to 40 minutes, stop.
Now, to be nominated for an Academy Award even, how does a short film get out there, get noticed, and get eligible to win that? Because it's not like something that's going to end up in a movie theater where millions of people will see it.
Not anymore. I mean, if you think about the trajectory of motion picture theaters, short films were a standard. Most folks don't even think about it, but the Three Stooges were considered short films, as short subjects.
You're talking classics now,
classics,
my friend.
but those were all shown in theaters as short films.
That's a good point.
This is when they used to do the A and B package. So what you would have is you'd have movie tone news, you'd have a cartoon, maybe a Disney or maybe a Warner Brothers. You'd have a short film, then you go into your feature film. And because they were generous back then, we didn't have television. You would get maybe a Basil Rathbone movie or what was called a B movie. So the whole package would be maybe 3 hours or so, and they wouldn't kick you out. Short films then took a transition as we got into television, and that's where we are familiar with a good chunk of those films. And in recent years, the short films have proliferated in the festival circuit. As a matter of fact, the festivals have become almost a de facto distribution system, going beyond the studios. Now, yeah, you do have your majors playing, but a lot of the smaller boutique cinema distributors have closed.
Yeah.
So Miramax, for example, they're not really active anymore. And so the festivals have become a way for folks to discover movies, and the short films are part and parcel of that. So you will get some prestige films coming in, like Disney when they were doing Fantasia 2. They had a whole package of films that went to the festivals. We got 3 of them. And then, of course, you had the Pixar films every year coming up, for example, with Monsters University. That film will probably go up for an animation Best Oscar.
I think it was #1 this past weekend at the box office.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, I mean, so it kind of crosses the lines. But the short films have picked up followings. You'll find a lot of the cable channels now are doing short film packages. You'll even find public broadcasting showcasing short films. And they become much more palatable for the general audience. And we found for ourselves down in Rhode Island that the short films are very much popular with our audiences. So what we do is, if we have a feature-length film, it'll be preceded by a short film using that old model from the 1930s.
And it works.
It works really well.
People love sitting to watch, previews of other movies before their feature starts, and that's something that you said would be at the end of it, and that's something else that they can enjoy.
Well, it also whets the palate too. I mean, you want to see more of this stuff. And frankly, if we get a very heavy film, if we complement that with a very positive up-tempo short, you walk out of there feeling a little bit less depressed, particularly if we're dealing with something that might deal with cancer or something that might be a very tough topic. And with festivals, you do get topics like that.
Can your world exist with the new age of like digital downloads and things of that sort as far as distribution and another way to view?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is an evolving field, and I can tell you when we first started, our exhibition methods included 35 millimeter and 16 millimeter. Good luck in finding both of those today.
Exactly.
We started digital projection long before it became popular.
So you're on the cutting edge.
We have been. And one of the things that's heading now, and you're probably aware with how the movie theaters work, if you go to the theater and it's digital today, there's nothing physical in place. It's not like someone walks in and says, here's your Blu-ray for the week.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. It's actually a satellite download. And the system delivery is called DCP, or Digital Cinema Projection. So say you're watching Monsters University. Mm-hmm. It is literally downloaded from the distributor onto a mainframe, and then it's programmed. So if if film screening is at 10 o'clock, it goes on at 10 o'clock, and it cuts off when the film's done. So you can't play it. It's key coded.
Gotcha.
And that's where everything is heading. And for our world, DCP is the new edge. And I can tell you this year we've gotten more and more stuff being sent to us online, and we're actually burning the material that we're going to be using to show at the festival.
Now that kind of segues into a fascinating discussion that we had off the air about your facilities and where all the magic happens and the upgrading and the remodeling that's going on, and you talking about coming into this new age of the DCP and stuff like that. Talk about everything that's going on at where you're at.
Our location, we're very fortunate. We're at a place called the Vets, which used to be known as the Veterans Memorial Auditorium, so named because it was built as a tribute to the veterans of World War II. The building itself is owned by the state of Rhode Island, and frankly it's been used for concerts and dance and graduations. It really hasn't had a lot of use, and there's a wonderful management team of the folks that run the Providence Performing Arts Center. They have been leading the charge to not only renovate and upgrade the building, but to open the doors for more folks to use it. So they came to us and they asked us to help bring in multimedia, and which we did. We actually commissioned a screen back in 2010. We got a beautiful 45-foot screen, and we now have stereo sound in the building. It's really great acoustics because it's a concert hall, and we have 1,900 seats. So what they're doing now is making modifications, adding more bathrooms, even loading docks. We're going to have a sky bar, and eventually that building's going to be connected to the mall. So it becomes this actual walkway. You can go from the mall all the way downtown to the convention center.
You never actually have to go outside.
You don't have to go outside. But this is all being done right now, and we've been in the middle of these renovations. So we've been jostling from floor to floor. And our operation is unique because while we do have a steadfast year group working with us and a lot of volunteers, we bring in interns each season. So I tend to look at it as a semester. I look at it from a college perspective, and this summer we have 12 interns from all over the country. In the past we've had folks from actually overseas, from Toulouse University, and I did misstate, we do have a student from Vietnam.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I met her dad. He's in tourism over in Vietnam. He came a couple weeks ago. And what's interesting, she's doing financing with us and volunteer coordination. Nicest person you'd ever hope to meet, but this cool thing is it becomes very international in scope in terms of what we do.
Now, since you mentioned in terms, you look at it in terms of semesters, because of all the interns you have, is there a downtime with Rhode Island International Film Festival? Is there an off-season per se?
Not really.
No?
At home I get that question all the time. When is the down season? Well, we go from this festival to a horror festival in October. We do a best of fest screening. We do a veterans program in November. We do a Jewish program in November as well. We head into the holidays with holiday programming. Then we do the Oscar Experience in February. Actually, it'll be March, 1st of March this year, the Oscar night program. And then it just goes, boom. We do a program with 2 of the colleges called Roving Eye, which is really cool. It allows the students to actually curate and develop a program, a film exhibition program. When that's done, and then we're into the summer season. So no, the cycling keeps going, and we're adding more and more programming. which is exciting because it's driven by the folks that come on board. The interns make significant contributions because they walk away with a tangible product saying, I did this.
I want to give you the opportunity to do some name dropping because, we talked about not only name dropping of famous people, but also those that are in the industry now. You talked about, people that are working on current TV shows that have come through your place and the networks. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we get over 5,000 entries a year, which is a lot of entries. And aside from the fact we have to watch all that stuff, and our rules require 3 separate viewings, we also do a screenplay competition too. So that brings a lot of folks in the creative industry through our doors. And we discover folks that are graduates from, say, USC, Florida State University, NYU. It's a long list. And we normally show over 200 titles in a 6-day period. So 17 years, you can do the math. That means we have a large alumni group, and a lot of these folks return. So not only do we get to know these folks, but we can see their career trajectories. I'll give you a couple stories. The one we were talking about, the guy's name is Jubin Mortazazi, and he was a student at the University of Southern California. He and Eli Frankel were friends and partners, and they created a film called 21 that we premiered here in Rhode Island, and it was about 21-year-olds. So, of course, we had all the cast, which meant we did not have any safe interns during that season. 21-year-olds, I mean, no. It was
good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. Any rate, Eli went on to be a producer for Survivor. Jubin still works for CBS. He's a senior editor. So not just Survivor, but it was The Amazing Race. It's a long laundry list. Jubin's actually now on our advisory board. Every time a new baby comes on board in his family, we get the shots, and these folks have become part of our family. Richard Shankman, for example, who worked with John Cryer. Richard's now actually teaching one of the colleges out there, but I got to meet John Cryer through Richard, and every time something new comes along, Richard will send something our way. His last directorial film with us was called Man from Earth, and with William Catt. It was a small film. It played our festival, went direct to video, and they did quite well with it from the festival bump. I'll give you one that an individual who's become actually a very close friend, and she was, I would say, big in the 1960s. If you look at her filmography from imdb.com, her name is Marlon Mason. And Marlon was on Broadway. She sang with Elvis in one of his films. She actually kissed Elvis and sang with him. And she reached a certain age, and she said, I've kind of had it. And she moved up to Oregon. Jumped forward a couple years back, and she took an autobiographical piece, and then they shot it as a short film called Model Rules. It came across my desk. I liked it. I really didn't know anything about Marlon. And I accepted the film, and she came here, and I got to meet her. Now, we are into our 3rd film with Marlon, these semi-autobiographical pieces. I've learned a lot about her. She's become a personal friend. And the story she tells about the industry? Her new film star is Maxwell Caulfield, Grease 2, who's married to Juliet Mills. And they're coming to the festival. And we'll be premiering Marlon's film. I'm very excited because I've watched that script in development. That's how close we've gotten as friends, that I've seen this thing over a 3-year period. So the festival goes beyond just the exhibition. It has become very personal, not just for me, but the filmmakers. We get a lot of repeat folks. And what we're known for is being a filmmaker-friendly entity. When you come to our festival, once you've been accepted, everything that happens to you there, all the film screenings, all the parties, the awards program, everything is free. That comes with your ticket. That comes with your badge. The only thing that we ask you to do is, obviously, if you have to stay somewhere, you cover that, because we don't make that money to cover that. But we get reduced rates at all the hotels.
Before we run out of time for this segment, which we're pretty close to doing, I want you to give out the website and maybe get a little bit more specific with the dates for the most upcoming festival.
Sure. Our main festival is always the 2nd Tuesday. It starts the 2nd Tuesday in August. So for 2013, it's August 6th through 11th. And the website is www.rifilmfest.org.
And they can find everything on there?
Everything's right there. And our calendar will go up in about 2 weeks from this date. And what you'll be able to do is actually go through all the films. You can actually determine what you want to see, make your own calendar, even print your own calendar out. You'll be able to order tickets online, or you can buy them at the door. You can buy festival six-packs, which is the best deal, because for $40 you get $60 worth of tickets.
Before I let you go, I want you to maybe talk about Graham Carter with the youth film jury.
Sure.
He's coming up in the segment. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, Graham actually, this is his third year with the festival, but 2 years with the youth jury, and he's now running the youth jury. Graham's at the University of Southern California, which is one of the top film schools in the country. He's from Rhode Island, and he's going to be talking about the evolution of the youth jury and why it's important. It's basically a program that we gift to high school students to come and discover the world of film. It costs them nothing.
George Marshall, the Executive Director of the Rhode Island International Film Festival. Wish we had more time, but thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, we'll take a break and come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. We're here with the fine folks from the Rhode Island International Film Festival. In this segment, we're chatting with Graham Carter. He's a programming associate, and we're going to talk about the youth film jury. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Graham, you're a student, right?
Yes.
Where do you go to school?
I go to school at the University of Southern California. I was born and raised in Rhode Island, so it's sort of a big change.
So you really went as far away from home as you could when you went to
Yeah.
school, right?
Right.
But you did go to one of the most prestigious film schools in the country.
Right, and that's why I went there, because you know, I felt like if I was going to pursue film as an industry, then I might as well do it. You know, so I just decided to go the whole
Well, when you
route.
apply for a school, do you have to, what are your, as a student, as a high school student, what are your credentials to get into a prestigious school like that? Besides grades and stuff, do you have to show like an interest? Did you have to show some kind of film work?
Yeah, you usually, I mean, it depends what you specifically want to do within the film school, but
Yeah.
usually you have to have had some kind of backing, working on film sets, making your own short films and things like that. And actually the Rhode Island International Film Festival helped me apply because I was part of the youth film jury, which I now coordinate. And that looked really good on a resume as well. So.
All right, so when you went out there for the film school, but what specifically is your major?
I'm majoring in critical studies out there. In the
And what
film
is
school.
that exactly?
Well, that's when you study the where films fit in our culture today, the meaning of film, what they symbolize in and of themselves, and within the broader scope of the culture of today.
All right, so that is your major out there at that film school. You're from Rhode Island, and so you get an internship to come back home and be involved with the Rhode Island International Film Festival, correct?
Right.
So talk about how that happened, because they helped you get out to the college in the first place, right?
Yeah, and well, a lot of it was my whole family lives in Rhode Island. My parents wanted to see me during the summer and things like that. I hadn't had any.
So they said, if you're going out to the West Coast during the semesters, you're coming home in the summer.
Yeah, so far. So, I mean, I know I was going to be in Rhode Island, so I figured I'd get back in touch with the festival because I had already, you know, experienced a lot of it, and you know, luckily I was able to secure that internship position, and so I'm working there now.
Now talk about the youth film jury. What's that?
Well, the youth film jury is a group of primarily high school students from the Rhode Island and New England area, and basically they see most of the films of the festival, including the shorts, the features, and the documentaries. And at the end of the festival, as part of the awards ceremony, they hand out the Youth Film Jury Awards. So they're an official judging panel for the festival.
The youngest, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and so a lot of filmmakers sort of, sometimes, we've had filmmakers tell us that they almost took more from the fact that they won a youth jury award than sometimes the actual, you know, festival awards, just because it was.
Is that a big deal? Is it?
It's a big deal to filmmakers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal to the kids too, but to filmmakers as well, because I mean, it's you know, it's real. There's no politics behind
Right,
it.
and it's also more your peers that gave you the award, and not some, you know, bunch of stuffy old people that might not understand your movie.
Exactly.
Not to say that that was George at all, by the way, in the first segment, because he's eyeballing me.
Yeah, well, you know, and I mean, you know, sometimes, like I said, politics comes into play with the word sometimes, and you know, people you know, things like this. I don't know, but with the jury, it's really just what the kids found, you know, interesting and entertaining, and so a lot of filmmakers really appreciated the fact that, you know, they won youth jury awards in the past.
Do you consider yourself a bona fide filmmaker at this point?
Not at this point. I mean,
You're learning.
I'm learning, and that's what I consider myself. I feel like I'm always learning, working my way towards maybe being a filmmaker. I would like to work in the industry out in California. So, working in a studio, helping films get made, maybe more of a producer. But I would really like to help out, filmmakers and future filmmakers in that capacity.
In my profession, because I do a radio show and a TV show, and I was talking to George about this off the air, the internship, which is what you're doing now, is so invaluable to actually starting your career. Your feet on the ground, maybe foot in the door, and maybe something low paying to start out with, but it's so crucial and so important, and it starts you on your way. Right. So the internship, I got to tell you, it's key to starting your career, especially in the career that you want to be in. If it's something that's a passion, and it sounds like this is for you.
Right. Well, I wish this was low paying. This is actually no paying. But
no, but I mean, eventually, if it turns into something,
of course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially with this festival, because like George said, we have the interns doing a lot of different things and having a lot of more responsibility that we would have at, maybe somewhere else. And so we really get exposed to a lot of the ways not only the film business works, but really just business in general. As far, we get sponsors, we have meetings and things like this. I mean, we come on shows like this. So.
And get the word out,
Exactly.
And the other great thing about the Rhode Island International Film Festival for you is it allows you to dabble in a lot of other areas of your industry, just to kind of feel out things, whether you want to direct, whether you want to produce, whether you want to be involved in some other aspect of the industry. You can do that here, right? In fact, you personally have kind of bounced around a little bit, just trying to feel it out.
Exactly, yeah, and that's why, it's kind of funny you asked me about being a filmmaker, because if you asked me back in high school, I would have wanted to be a director, a writer, something like that. Once I, got into college, once I saw most of the industry and even saw things in the festival here, you sort of realize what you really want to do, what's feasible, and, there's a lot of facets of the industry, and it's important to find which one you like best, which one is open to you, because a lot of times you don't know going into it from outside.
Yeah.
You think you know, but you really don't.
No, you don't learn until you're on the inside, and then your eyes are wide open, because suddenly there's a lot of things that you didn't even realize existed, and maybe you want to partake in that, right?
Well, yeah. I wanted to be a writer and director because I wanted to be in control of the movie. And then lo and behold, it's the producer who's in control of the movie, who hires the writer and the director. Now I want to be the producer, so it always jumps around.
And I don't know if you want to be the executive producer, because that's the one who basically just forks over the money to get the thing made in the first place. But wouldn't you still, if you're creative and you have an idea for a movie, wouldn't you still want to be the director, the writer, so to speak? Because that's your idea.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of. I think there's a saying that says everyone in Hollywood wants to direct, and it's sort of true, because the reason you go into films is because you want to sort of make your own films, especially if it's a creative capacity of any kind. So I think most people sort of have a latent need to make films, but really no one person makes films.
A lot of actors seem to segue to directing. Do they just get tired of acting and they want to be behind the scenes? They want to be in control?
I think they want to be in control, because the way I look at that is I wanted to direct, now I want to produce. So I sort of stepped back. And I think actors sort of do that, from acting to directing and things like that.
People that are in the industry big time today, is there anyone that you kind of admire or emulate or would like to be like, whether it be a director or a producer, anything along those lines?
Well, probably, I look at someone like James Cameron, who seems like he does have a lot of control over what he does.
Right.
And he's the only one who does what he does, and I respect that. And then, on the industry side, I like a lot of the, people who've made it behind the scenes, even behind the directing scenes. So maybe like a Stacey Snider, or who's the CEO of DreamWorks, or people like that. Who let James Cameron do what he does. So I would say I look up to those people.
If things are going in the right direction for you, what's next for you, and where do you want to see your kind of career going, more specifically?
I would like to work within the industry, help films get made. I guess with whatever capacity I can, wherever I do find myself. I would like to work in development most immediately, probably. I feel like you can find the best movies in development, and you can also sort of derail train wrecks before they leave the station when you're working in development, so I think that's important. So probably like that, working however I can to get films made in a creative way, but also a financial way. If
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody
movies are
wants to pay their
finance.
bills, right?
Yeah,
And be a little
it
comfortable.
always comes back
How
to money.
about just with the Rhode Island International Film Festival? What's next for you in that? You're doing the youth film jury for this upcoming festival, right?
Yes.
And then what?
Well, right now we just finished accepting applications for
Okay.
the youth jury, but I mean, if more roll in, we'll still consider
And George
them on
mentioned
the
that
basis.
as you get closer and closer, I mean, more things are happening. People are gritting their teeth a little bit more. You're making sure things don't fall through the cracks, and it just gets not more tense, but just more energized, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, it gets a lot more energized. We have a lot of new things happening for the jury that we didn't do in previous years as well. For example, where they're taking part in not just watching the films, but also things like the master class that we're having at the festival. We're going to try to get a filmmaker come and talk to them, and also we have an Instagram video challenge that we will have more details up on the website soon.
Everybody has one of those apps, right? on their
Yeah,
phone,
and so
right?
we're going to try to get the festival and the jury to host a challenge for that, because I mean a lot of people on the jury and young people interested in things like that want to be filmmakers when it comes down to it.
I think young people too are obviously very plugged into social media, so I would imagine stuff is getting shared not only on Instagram but Facebook and Twitter and all that, right?
Yeah, which we're also starting the Youth Film Jury Facebook page. That there's probably going to be a Youth Film Jury Instagram as soon as that starts up to tie into the competition. And yeah, social media is really, and even our social media at the festival has been growing a lot this year more than it has in previous years. We have a lot of daily updates from the other interns, and I mean, it's growing. The whole festival is growing.
And when we'll put the link up one more time for the Rhode Island International Film Festival. When you go on the website, you'll be able to click links to go to the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that. So you can go and learn more. We're out of time, so it was a pleasure having you on the show today too. Graham Carter, Programming Associate, which is a very cool title, by the way, and working with the Youth Film Jury. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it, and good luck in your future too.
Thank you very much. It was great to be here.
And that is it for us. Thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. You can watch this show on our YouTube channel, as well as many others. In the meantime, I'm Sean Murphy. We will see you next time. Take care.